You think being older automatically makes you less desirable, but that is only true if age found you empty. If age found you disciplined, clear, and self respecting, then what you call getting older, the world often reads as presence. If you need reminders like this, subscribe now, because men like you do not need more flattery. You need the truth repeated until you stop letting insecurity talk louder than reality. Here's what it really means to be a good-looking older man, even if you don't think so. It does not mean you look 25. It does not mean every wrinkle vanished, every gray hair disappeared, every younger man fell behind. It means your appearance has started carrying something deeper than youth. It carries order, it carries experience, it carries restraint, it carries a life that has been lived with enough resistance to produce weight. And weight, when it is paired with self-respect, is attractive. A lot of men miss this because they are still using a boy's definition of attractiveness. Smooth skin, easy validation, fast attention, cheap approval. They think beauty is just surface. They think attractiveness belongs to the loudest man in the room, the youngest face in the room, the most obvious man in the room. No, that is adolescent thinking. That is not mature attraction. Mature attraction is different. It is less about spectacle and more about signal, less about flash and more about force, less about noise and more about gravity. That is why some men get older and disappear, while others get older and become undeniable. Same years, different choices, same calendar, different character. The hard truth is this: age does not make you unattractive. Neglect does. Bitterness does. Neediness does. A scattered life does. A man who has let himself go and then blames time is not being honest. He is looking for a softer explanation than the one that would demand change. Because if the problem is only age, then he is helpless. But if the problem is his habits, his posture, his energy, his standards, his self-concept, then now we are talking about responsibility. And responsibility is where power begins. So when you ask whether you are a good-looking older man, what you are really asking is whether your life still translates into visible value. That is the real question. Not whether you can compete with a younger man on youth, but whether you can offer something youth cannot fake: calm, direction, patience, timing, composure, emotional range without emotional chaos, a face that looks like it has seen things and survived them, a body that says, "I still respect myself," a presence that says, "I am not here to impress, I am here because I belong." That is attractiveness, real attractiveness. And this matters especially in a world that keeps lying to you. It tells men that if they are not young, hyper-polished, socially loud, and constantly externally validated, then they are done, finished, invisible. But look carefully. The men who carry real magnetism later in life are rarely the men begging to look younger than they are. They are the men who wear their years cleanly. They are the men who are not fighting reality. They are shaping it. That's called congruence. When your age, your behavior, your voice, your appearance, and your standards all match. No pretending, no desperation, no costume, and desperation is what ruins so many older men. Not age, desperation. The desperate need to prove they still have it. The desperate need to be chosen by younger women just to medicate the fear of decline. The desperate need to force relevance. That energy is visible. People can feel it. And nothing ages a man faster than trying too hard to prove he has not aged at all. So let's tell the truth. If you are a genuinely good-looking older man, there will be signs. Not fantasy, not ego. Signs. Quiet signs. The kind insecure men overlook because they are addicted to obvious applause. The first sign is that your face has definition, not just features. You may not see it because you are too busy comparing yourself to who you were 15 years ago. But other people are not comparing you to your old photos. They are experiencing you in real time. They see a face that has settled, a face with lines that do not just speak of age, but of emotional mileage, a look that says you have had to hold yourself together before. That matters. People trust faces that look like they have survived reality. Not every line weakens a man. Some lines give him authority. Some gray gives him edge. Some seriousness gives him shape. If your face has become more grounded, more expressive, more contained, that is not decline. That is refinement. The second sign is that your body still carries self-respect. Not perfection, self-respect. Big difference. You do not need a teenager's metabolism. You need evidence of discipline. The way you stand, the way your clothes sit on your frame, the way you walk into a room without apologizing for taking up space, the way your shoulders tell the truth about how you live. People notice when a man has not quit on himself. They notice when he still trains, still grooms, still moves like his body is a responsibility, not an afterthought. That is attractive because it signals something deeper than aesthetics. It signals order. That's called embodied discipline. The third sign is that you do not leak need. This one is huge. You think attractiveness is only what people see, but much of it is what they do not feel coming off you. They do not feel hunger for approval. They do not feel panic in your attention. They do not feel that every interaction is a hidden audition. You are present, but you are not pressing. Warm, but not grasping. Interested, but not overeager. That restraint is magnetic. Why? Because it tells people your worth is not on sale. You are not begging to be admired. You are simply standing in your reality. And reality has force. The fourth sign is that younger people respect you without you chasing their language, their trends, or their approval. This is where a lot of older men embarrass themselves. They think to connect with younger women or younger people in general, they need to imitate youth. No. If you are trying to borrow youth, you are announcing that you do not believe in your own lane. Real cross-generational appeal comes from being deeply yourself. Calm, curious, humorous without trying too hard, mature without becoming stiff, open without becoming performative. In age gap dynamics especially, what becomes attractive is not the number itself. It is the stability, the emotional steadiness, the sense that being around you feels less chaotic, less childish, less performative, not because you are controlling, because you are centered. The fifth sign is that your silence works. Think about that. Your silence works. You do not need to constantly fill space to be felt. You do not need to dominate every conversation to leave an impression. There is a kind of man whose words land harder because he does not waste them. He listens fully. He answers directly. He does not react to every little thing. He is not easy to rattle. That calmness reads as strength when it is genuine. And no, silence alone is not attractive. Awkward silence is not power. Bitter silence is not power. Shutdown is not power. But measured silence, thoughtful silence, silence from a man who clearly knows who he is, that is power. That's called grounded presence. The sixth sign is that your life looks organized. Again, not perfect. Organized. Your home, your schedule, your finances, your health, your priorities, your habits. Even your conversation reveals this. Disorganized men age poorly because disorder leaks through everything. It leaks through the way they dress, the way they speak, the way they commit, the way they flirt, the way they recover from setbacks. But when a man's life has structure, it shows. He looks better because he lives better. His eyes are clearer. His energy is cleaner. His choices are calmer. He is not carrying the exhausted look of a man always cleaning up his own chaos. That kind of order is deeply attractive because it signals safety, not safety as in softness, safety as in solidity. The seventh sign is that women, including younger women, become more comfortable around you than you realize, not because you are trying to charm them, because you are not trying to consume them. That is a major difference. There is a predatory energy insecure men bring into rooms. You can feel the scan, the sizing up, the hunger, the need to prove, but a genuinely attractive older man does not have that contamination in his presence. He is aware, yes. He can appreciate beauty, yes. He can enjoy attraction, yes. But he is not ruled by it. He does not turn every interaction into pursuit. He does not weaponize experience. He does not play father, savior, or buyer. He respects boundaries, including his own. That makes him feel safer, stronger, and paradoxically, more desired. The eighth sign is the simplest and the hardest to fake. You look like you belong to your own life. Read that again. You look like you belong to your own life. Not like you are trying to break into someone else's. Not like you are living in regret. Not like you are apologizing for your years. Not like you are still waiting for some external approval stamp to tell you that you are enough. You look rooted. And rooted men are attractive because they are rare. Now, why do you miss these signs in yourself? Because you are trapped in a distorted mirror. You are not looking at yourself objectively. You are looking at yourself through accumulated insecurity, through old wounds, through comparison, through a culture that worships youth because youth is easy to market, through your own regret about time wasted, through the fear that your best window is behind you. That's the root cause. It is not that you are invisible. It is that you have been trained to overlook forms of value that do not look adolescent. And that distortion costs you. It costs you your posture. It costs you your voice. It costs you opportunities. It costs you connection. It costs you the chance to move through the world like a man who actually understands what he brings. An insecure older man often ruins his own attractiveness before anyone else gets the chance to assess it. He overexplains. He self-deprecates too much. He fishes for reassurance. He hides behind jokes. He assumes rejection before anything even happens. He enters rooms mentally smaller than he is. That's called pre-rejection. And pre-rejection is just pride wearing insecurity as a disguise. You reject yourself first, so nobody else gets the satisfaction. Stop doing that. You do not need more mirror time. You need more truth. If people hold eye contact with you longer than you expect, notice that. If your presence tends to settle rooms instead of disrupt them, notice that. If your words carry weight, notice that. If people ask your opinion, trust your judgment, remember details about how you carry yourself, or respond to your calm more than your looks, notice that. Attraction is not always loud. Real attraction is often subtle at first. It shows up in respect before it shows up in pursuit. Now picture the man who fully understands this. He is not trying to relive his 20s. He is not dressing like a costume. He is not forcing slang, forcing youth, forcing cool. He does not resent younger men. He does not envy them. He does not need to. He knows they have youth. Good for them. He has weight. He has scars that taught him precision. He has losses that made him cleaner. He has standards built from consequence, not theory. He takes care of his body because it is his instrument. He takes care of his mind because his peace is expensive. He is not rushing. He is not competing with everyone. He is not desperate to be seen, and that is exactly why he is hard to ignore. That man is attractive. He is attractive when he walks slowly because he is not panicked. Attractive when he speaks clearly because he has learned the cost of confusion. Attractive when he dresses with simplicity because he understands that fit beats flash. Attractive when he holds a boundary without anger. attractive when he leaves on time, attractive when he says no without performing cruelty, attractive when he enjoys a younger woman's attention without turning into a boy in a man's body, attractive when he understands that an age gap does not make him valuable by itself, his character does. That is the reframe you need. Being an older man is not the advantage. Being a self-possessed older man is the advantage. Age alone proves nothing. Character makes age visible in the right way. So what should you do with this? Do this. Stop mourning youth as if it was your only asset. Stop scanning yourself like an enemy. Stop assuming every younger woman sees you as obsolete. Stop dressing like you have given up. Stop carrying yourself like your best days are a courtroom verdict already delivered. Stop over-talking when you feel nervous. Stop making jokes that lower your own value before someone else has even spoken. Stop asking silent questions like, "Do I still measure up?" and start answering them with your life. Redirect. Train your body 3 to 5 times a week and do it like a man reclaiming territory. Clean up your grooming, not because vanity saves you, but because order changes your signal. Wear clothes that fit your current body, not the body you had 10 years ago, and not the one you wish you had. Fit is respect. Posture is respect. Sleep is respect. Skincare, hydration, clean shoes, a steady handshake, an unhurried pace, eye contact that does not beg and does not challenge unnecessarily. All of that matters. Not because these things create worth, because they reveal whether you live like you have any. Then go deeper. Build a life that makes you handsome from the inside out. Purpose, schedule, financial sobriety, emotional discipline. Read more. Drink less if drinking has become your crutch. Speak less if rambling has become your armor. Choose environments that sharpen you. Choose friends who do not let you decay in comfort. A man becomes visibly better looking when his life stops leaking. That is not poetry. That is pattern recognition. And if you are interested in age gap relationships, hear this clearly. The attraction is not supposed to come from exploiting the gap. It is supposed to come from what maturity has built in you. If your confidence comes from power imbalance, that is weakness pretending to be strength. If your appeal comes from financial leverage alone, that is dependency wearing expensive clothes. But if your appeal comes from steadiness, leadership, clarity, warmth, boundaries, and an absence of boyish chaos, then yes, many women will feel that. Some younger women especially will feel that. Not because they are confused, because order is attractive in a disordered world, but that only works if it is real. You cannot fake groundedness for long. You cannot cosplay wisdom. You cannot imitate Stoicism by becoming emotionally frozen. That is another trap. Stoicism is not deadness. Stoicism is governed strength. It is the ability to feel without spilling everywhere, to desire without losing your frame, to age without panicking, to be wanted without becoming arrogant, to be rejected without becoming shattered, to be alone without becoming empty. That is strength. That is beauty in a man, mature beauty, earned beauty. So when you look in the mirror and think, "I'm just getting old," correct yourself. Ask better questions. Have I become more disciplined? Have I become more selective? Have I become calmer? Have I become more intentional? Do I carry myself with more weight than before? Do people feel more settled around me? Do I look like a man who knows how to lead himself? If the answer is yes, then you are not fading. You are condensing. You are becoming more potent, not more disposable. That is what many men never understand. Youth is broad appeal. Mature masculinity is specific appeal. It does not pull everybody. Good. It should not. It pulls the right people harder. The people who understand depth. The people tired of noise. The people who have learned that chaos is expensive. The people who no longer confuse excitement with quality. That is why the older man who has done the work often becomes more attractive, not less. Smaller market, maybe. Stronger signal, absolutely. So own it. Quietly, cleanly, without vanity, without apology. Walk like your years mean something. Speak like your words cost something. Dress like your body is still under your command. Set standards like your time is no longer available for foolishness. Let go of the need to be universally desired. That is a child's dream. Become specifically respected, specifically trusted, specifically felt. That is a man's power. You stop whining about age. You stop worshiping youth. You stop acting like the calendar robbed you when in reality it exposed you. You stop trying to impress everybody. You stop chasing validation that was never going to heal you anyway. You stop reducing attractiveness to a jawline and a number. You stop. And then you build. You build a body that reflects effort. You build a face that reflects peace. You build a life that reflects standards. You build a presence that reflects self-command. You build relationships from honesty, not performance. You build the kind of masculinity that does not need a spotlight to be seen. That is when something changes. You stop wondering whether you are good-looking enough, because good-looking stops being the whole frame. You become compelling. You become memorable. You become the man whose energy arrives before his biography does. The man who doesn't need to announce his worth because his habits already did. The man whose age reads like value instead of decay. The man who no longer asks permission to feel solid in his own skin. You are the answer, not a compliment, not a younger woman's attention, not a stranger's approval, not proof that you can still compete with boys. You, your habits, your standards, your frame, your clarity, your refusal to abandon yourself because the world became obsessed with youth. So if this hit you, take it personally in the right way. Clean your life up, sharpen your routine, respect your body, respect your years, respect what pain taught you, and stop calling yourself invisible just because you are no longer obvious. There is a difference. Obvious is easy. Presence is earned. Subscribe if you want more truth like this, because some days you do not need comfort. You need correction. You need clarity. You need the reminder that your age is not the problem if your character has kept growing. Stay close to this community if you are serious about becoming the kind of man whose value deepens with time, whose standards rise with experience, and whose presence speaks before he ever has to. You are not too late. You are not disqualified. If you do the work, you do not age out of relevance. You age into your real power.